Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to tell you and share with you about the project I've done. This is a project of CCFS. This is not a heavyweight project. It is certainly not research, and there's no academic theories, and there's no really framework. But I think it is a very, very nice project. It is a project that is about telling the public about what you have all done in this room to conserve our countryside and to revitalize our countryside. If I want to give you two main messages of the next 15 minutes, it'll be number one, we see the importance of the power of stories. We tell stories in this website. And number two, I hope that you can recognize the passion of young people and their role in the revitalization of our countryside. We call our website Rural Common. So here we go. I'll just make sure that I don't overrun. Okay, so about Make a Difference Institute. Thank you to Leslie, because she has already told you a lot about my very small organization. We have around 20 plus young people, so I'm definitely not young, but I'm youthful. Because because I work with young people every day. We do lots of creative projects, and they're very diverse. So go to our website, mad.asia, if you want to know more. And we have a collaborator called a Common Map, and these are designers and visualizers that really bring out the best of our countryside that would touch the public who won't know what is happening in the countryside. So about stories, how do we recruit young people to join this project, and how do they go about in collecting stories? I think those are two very interesting points I would like to tell you. First of all, this is no usual website because the categorization is already quite interesting. It has stories about the ecosystem, about plants, about economic activities, and also about landscape, and above all, people. So how do these young people get recruited? First of all, they need to be immersed. They will be very happy to, let's say, go to one of the villages and work in a farm to exchange for stories so that they can hear the best stories from the villagers. And here, they are working on farms, as was told by the farmers. And next, they, of course, interview villagers. And then more villagers who are selling lots of food and foodstuff. And finally, they write their stories, and they showcase their stories at interesting intersections of public spaces so that people, regular people can comment on the stories. And all these stories are now put on the website. They are being refined, and they are being put on this website for further refinement. So, this is a unique collection, I would say, of stories from the perspective of young people. So in a way, we are actually trying to know about the past, connect it with the present, and also extend it to the future. Because what we are doing is really for the next generation. I hope that more young people, by young people, I think, the people I work with is from 20 to 30, basically. So if that generation loves our countryside, then I think what we are doing, Stephen, will be really hopeful and would really, have a lot of big impact. Right, so more people reading the stories and putting the post-it boards on the stories. So it is a very good engagement process, which we have done along the way. And the result is very nice, I would say, not only aesthetically, but a website with very, very interesting visuals. We have a very interesting way of visualizing what we have learned. And so these stories about the economic activities. My good friend, Louis Yu, has a theory of culture called BEAM, B-E-A-M. So B for belief, E for everyday life, A for arts and crafts, and M for memory. So his BEAM theory, he has done like hundreds of workshops telling people about his theory. And what I think is that his theory is really not just for the urban side, but also for rural and the countryside. Because what we see here is everyday life of the Hakka, and this is how they live, how they work with the nature, and how they find different inspirations from traditions. We look into the different couplets in the ancestral halls, and also tell stories about heritage and culture. Now, of course, food is very important as well. So the young people went to almost all the small eateries of all the 7 villages, and because they eat and they talk and they get a lot of stories of the villages, why they're back to the villages. And very interestingly, we found, amazing people. This chap lived in France for over 30 years, so he speaks French. And he's now living in Sanya, Sama village, and he has a cafe called Green Villa, and with really lovely Hakka food. Has any of you been there? Ah, yes. And do you know he speaks French? Yeah, he really speaks French. So if any of you knows French, next time you go, and you can talk to him in French. It's really, it's a wonderful and very unusual connection, of a villager and also, the French interesting, background. Now, other stories about a very young slasher and artist, Yip Hiu-man. So Hiu-man she is the one who did the very beautiful wall paintings in Muizilam. Anybody who has been to Muizilam would never miss these wall paintings. Now, she's not just there to paint, but she has become a villager. She has become a gaifang in Lai Chi Wall. And you see this sort of very, very good influence of people like Hiu-man and influencing other young people to go to the countryside. And to find, treasures and resources and inspirations. All right, so I want to tell you 3 quick stories about the people and the stakeholders of this website, Rural Common, and how it is going to not only spread your work, but to think about a different future of our, of our rural spaces in Hong Kong. The first story is about a Chong. So Chong is a Hakka person, and he also appeared in the Hakkaoki, in the Sankala Hoke, in the previous presentation. He is somehow so passionate about his own, ancestral origin that he is now teaching Hakka. If anyone who is interested, go to his classes. He teaches the Hakka dialect, and so as a young person, he knows the area of the Heng Chun Yue very well. And he, with our support, he has discovered very hidden trails. And so from Wu Gao Tang to Kuk Po, you could actually go up a trail that is not easy to walk. And there are temples there. There is a temple called Ama Fat, which is the Tin Hao temple. And so here it is. And so he is actually doing Paul's job by showcasing, our, history, and he did it very well. He also curated, which has not been implemented yet. It's like having Hakka festivals every single month. So from the first month of the year down to the last month of the year, I don't want to read it all out, but you can see that, all these Hakka traditions could be made into festivals and then events for dissemination to the public. And so a Chong is really a passionate, and I hope that you can all think about, different work for, this type of, very committed young people. So my next story is about Chris. Chris has training in architecture, but he's also a social entrepreneur, and he's also a researcher. He loves digging into the smallest details of things, and he loves to document the processes. So for example, in this photo, he is documenting an old cannon that he found in Nok Gang. And here he is looking at the fruits of the Yang Tao, of all the different fruits of the neighborhood. And I will tell you in 2 slides' time that he has now created a product, a kombucha of fruits in the Hengshunyak villages. Now, this is rice cake, and he loved to document the whole process, and so that this is all now on the website for people to understand. And he's also a very organized and systematic thinker. So, I mean, with this map, you will see that not only of transportation routes, but the greens are the hilly parts that you have to climb all the way up with the greens, and the blues are where you can get public transport, and the browns are the villages of the neighborhood. So very neat maps that you can also find on the website. But not only that, here you go. From his frequenting the villages, he is now using the fruits, local fruits, to come up with a local product called Fruitable. And it is now being sold in a number of retail stores, not very big yet. It's kombucha, and of course I've tasted it, and it's pretty good. So we are getting more and more products, and I mean, I think the initiative is very small, but I think it is a very good start for a young person like Chris. Now, the third story is about Lillian Lee. So Lee is a big family in Kuk Po. So Wei Jian was talking about Kuk Po for the longest time. I don't want to talk about Kuk Po as much, but it's interesting to note that Lillian, being a third generation Lee, has not lived in Kuk Po, but grew up in the city like all of us. But she went back to her ancestral home from time to time, and suddenly one day she asked herself, why do we, young people like her, would love to go to Japan and see Japan as a second home when, Lillian's ancestral home is right there, and nobody discovers it, and nobody really talks much about it. And so she said, how might I do something for my own village? And so what she did was she conceived a sort of glamping. Well, glamping, what glamping is a really luxurious kind of a camping kind of activity. I don't know whether you would, you would actually buy it for $800. You get to sleep in the tent. You get one big Hakka dinner meal, you get one breakfast, and you need to work on the farm, all for $800. And so, but actually a lot of young people loved it, and I know that some of my young friends in the MAT team, they all went. And so I think, yeah, this is very interesting experiences, experiential tourism, as we say, where, the tourists will get to do, Hakka food and enjoy a Hakka meal, and also understand the countryside. So is this the sort of innovation we want to see? I think we can talk about it. Whoops, okay. So I have a few more slides to go, and I'm done. And so Lillian also befriended other villagers. So this is Wang Chunjiang from the Sorapun. And they actually found a hidden trail from Kuk Po to Sorapun together. And so this is the photo. The significance of the photo is that Wang Chunjiang gave Lillian a small plant that grows everywhere in Sorapun so that she can start growing it in Kuk Po. So my last few slides on the future. So I want you, and hopefully we can talk about it later. So young people, they are our future. And this platform that, Rural Commons should be something for them, and also something for the future of Hong Kong. And just like Chung, just like Chris, and just like Lillian, can we excite more people to do it? And random thoughts. I really look for sustainable countryside revitalization. So can this platform be a catalyst to change the behavior of visitors? Because they see the beauty, they see the work of young people. Can they all work to maybe to make it less rubbish, with less rubbish and more clean? And can we connect old villages, and can we do more so that there are more enterprises and there's more livelihood in the villages? So I'll end with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wong, for the insightful sharing.